I know we've only seen each other for like maybe once or twice. We've only actually met like once or twice, huh?
Yeah.
Like yeah, I don't even where did we meet at? I don't
Um,
even
I think it was the Girls and Geese at Studio 540.
Okay.
That's so
Yes.
funny. I know, but I think jujitsu is just jujitsu. It keeps people connected.
Okay, well, thank you so much. So it's pronounced Raquel.
Yeah, Raquel, yeah.
And I just think of you as Stronghold Mom, like on your Instagram. And I love that. Um, and obviously there's like a faith-based aspect in that name as well, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's beautiful. So let's just start and just tell me about yourself briefly, just for those watching and yeah, just share a little bit about yourself before we go into the questions.
Of course. Yeah. So I'm Raquel Cusi. I am born and raised in San Diego. So I turned 41 this year, which is wild to me.
Wow.
So I can never leave. Every time I travel somewhere, I'm like, no, I can't go. And I think about you too. I think you're from Guam, right? Like,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm like, I know we have actually students in Guam, and I was like, I could probably go for like a couple days and then come back. But
Right.
yeah, I'm a mom of five.
Wow.
What's it call it? I founded an academy called Stronghold in 2007 and have been doing jujitsu for 20 years. And so that's been like a huge thing in my life. And prior to that, I was also like a content creator. I've gone back into hospitality, which I love, which is like, serving at restaurants and hotels, weddings, all the things. And so, yeah, it's been a really fun journey and meeting a lot of people in all those communities and also like a nonprofit director, all the fun things of I mean, like being able to combine all of my loves in one
Yeah.
setting. So
Whenever I see you post on Instagram, I'm always like, this woman is like on fire. Like she just like not in a like you do so many things, but I feel like every time I see you post about what you're doing, it's always like serving. And I
I
love
appreciate.
that.
Thank you. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's actually kind of funny. So I did an event a couple weeks ago, and the first nonprofit I ever volunteered for in high school. So I went to Mount Carmel for new Sun Devils out there. I volunteered at Casa de las Campañas. It's like a convalescent home, and I
Oh,
remember because I was like my heart was like when we were looking at so I was in student government, right? It kind of just it's funny how it all translates to like now, but I was called the activities commissioner, which meant like we did activities for the school, and I also organized like community service hours. And
mhm.
so this nonprofit was at this event that I was at, and I thought that was just a mind boggling that I'm like, man, they've been around for so long, and it just made me so happy to see them there because nonprofits are just such a backbone of like our community, and they don't I think as at a young age, it's like, oh, serve your community, right? Serve your family. And I hate to say it, but like my parents never really were like, hey, let's go do this for the community, right? Like we were part of church, and I think that is a good extension. But even within church, sometimes you don't always get all those opportunities to serve different communities. So I thought that was really cool.
I'm in a couple of Facebook groups for mothers, and one of the questions was like the fear of being just identified as a mom with the kids and home and stuff like that, like just all the typical stereotypical things about being a mom. But when you get involved in the community and you give back, I mean, I think it's yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd add to that.
No,
Like
absolutely. Like
there's purpose in that
for
essentially.
sure. I went to a conference one time, which is actually kind of like it's kind of a sad memory for me because it was a conference for moms. And the question that we did in breakout groups were like, well, so who are you? Right? Like, what do you like to do for fun? And some of these moms like had no idea. It was really,
Mm.
and I mean, I've been there, right? Like, you're in the thick of it right now of like toddlerhood and all the things. And, when you're in that, you're like, oh, I'm just a mom, but you're not, right? And sometimes it takes I hate to say it, like postpartum depression, stuff like that, for you to really figure out like who am I as a person.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just really sad because I remember them saying like, "Oh, I watch movies with my kid, and that's all I do." I was like, "No, no, no," you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I know in the original questions, I formatted it where the first set of questions were about like business and jujitsu, but since we're on motherhood anyway, that was the second topic. Let's just go into motherhood then, and then
Yeah,
we'll go into jujitsu and business
for sure.
after. So, one of my questions was, how has being a mother influenced your approach to founding a gym, running it, and then mentoring students?
Yeah, that's actually a really fun question for me because I feel that one of the biggest things I see in these mom groups are I need to get a job, right? I need a side hustle. What can I do? I'm not making enough income, all the things. And I'm gonna like be fully transparent and say that jujitsu, like being a academy founder, most people, I'd say majority of the people don't do it because they want to do it for the money, right? It's because they love the martial art and they want to give back and like teach others and help them with their journey. So the short story though is that that really shaped my first several years of my kids, right? I was like, "Oh, wow, I can have an academy, run it with my family and they're going to be there for the ride," right? So
Right.
my kids have been born and raised on the mats. Like they knew how to butt scoot before they could even walk, right? They watched classes, they'd be on the mats watching me, they'd watch their dad. So I think it was really
Wow.
cool because teaching other families like this is what it could be like, right? And
Mm-hmm.
having such a family centered academy was such an important thing for us because that's why we were doing it, right? And so
Right,
when
right.
I see other like not to say it's a bad thing, but like when I see some academies where I'm here for the money, right? Like I'm here for the numbers. I'm here for I want to get like 500 students. I'm like that's cool too, right? But like at the core of it, you want to build a community, right? That foundation and like a sense of
Mm-hmm.
legacy where like you look back and yeah, like maybe we didn't make a lot of money, but I was able to stay at
Mm-hmm.
home with my kids. I was able to have them come to work with me almost every day, right? And then
Yeah.
now when I'm moving forward to like my own other journeys, right? And then even seeing like their journeys, it's kind of crazy to me because I'm like, I never want my kids to work a 9 to 5, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it might be cool to like experience for a little bit, but especially if they start having their own family, I'll be like, hey, you saw me all the time, right? And
Right.
not to say that again, some cases it's going to be necessary, right? Like not all jobs are allowed to have that luxury and flexibility. But I think it's such a great thing for me to say, like, yeah, I was with my kids for so long running this business and it helped them shape their own personality and what they want to do in life and all the things. So
Wow. How are your kids all kind of like in adulthood already? Or some of them are still in school or
yeah, it's so funny you like ask that. So I have my oldest is a senior in high school, right? So he's
oh wow.
17, right? And my youngest is 4 and in TK. So
Oh
the ones in the middle are 10, almost 13 and 15. So
wow.
it's really interesting because yeah, like now that I've seen like this whole different type of journey with them, right? So
Hmm.
like I went to college, right? I graduated with a business degree, but
Hmm.
times have changed, right? Like with careers and like college and military, trade school, right? It's like now that I see like I was able to see all their personality bloom when they were younger. And we used to say, like, for example, our oldest, I'm like, hey, this kid's gonna teach jujitsu, right? That's what he wanted to do. And now he's like, he is like a chef. he
Wow.
um he does like make like auto mechanic stuff. And then I know he trains like still here and there, but like it's really interesting because he'll say like, oh, like we'll talk about like minimum wage, right? All the things. And this kid, like I used to pay him like 35, 40, $50 to do a private lesson for jiu-jitsu and wrestling. And he was like 15 at the time. And he was such a good instructor where I'm like, man, you got like the best of both your dad and your mom in like instruction because I would watch him and like, bro, you could be making 100, 150, $200, and
Right.
rest the rest of the day, right? And then,
Right.
yeah, my other ones are, yeah, they're getting to this point where they kind of know what they want to do. So one wants to be a professional ballerina and she loves
Wow.
fashion design and art and all these things. She also is an entrepreneur. And then one of them wants to be a baker, like a pastry chef. It's just
Wow.
interesting to see that, like, those are the things I'm so excited about where I really want to, like, show them that they
Right.
can follow their dreams and their passions and what they love.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's like the perfect, because when at least the way I grew up as well, it's like you're put into this box of being expected to just pursue a 9 to 5 career, as you were talking about, and just going to college and not really having any passions outside of that.
Right.
But like being like multi-passionate, like your kids just are all over the place with
So
their passions, but that's so beautiful, and that I feel like that even just affects how they impact the community and the people around them in such a great way that they're able to, make a big difference in whatever field they choose. And yeah, that's amazing. That's inspiring because as
thank you.
someone who's has a toddler and then I have another one on the way,
I
so
know. That's so awesome.
I just, yeah, I love seeing you, especially like moving and shaking on Instagram and posting all this stuff you're doing. I mean, I'm just like, okay, like I have so much to do.
No, I think it's like honestly, it's funny how you say that because I am the same way when see like some of the moms that I know where I'm like, I'm not doing enough. It's like so crazy. Like I
Yeah.
have one friend, she is a restaurateur and she has, I
Oh,
think
wow.
seven, I just say she might have 6 or 7 restaurants. And
Wow.
she's amazing and she's definitely like so inspiring and has a teenage daughter as well that's growing up. And I'm like, man, I she's one of those gals that inspire me where I'm like, I feel I'm not doing enough. But I think it's always great. Like it's never a competition, right? It's always like
Right.
inspiring each other. And you're gonna have those times, like for example, the toddler infant life, you're like, I can not do so much from the bed. But to be honest, it's funny. I've been more productive in toddler life too, because I'm like, oh, I'm in bed, like I'm nursing, I can do all this social media while like they're sleeping. So
Right.
I think it's like a good reminder that not to like undercut yourself either, right?
Right.
So
Exactly. I agree. Do you find that motherhood has shaped, well, you kind of touched on this with your kids as well, but like, do you find that motherhood has shaped the way you view discipline, patience, and resilience, like on the mats and off the mats?
oh, for sure. Yeah. So I think it's really cool because, the more that my kids get older, I'm just like for example, jujitsu is a funny topic, right? Because I had a topic or I had a conversation with my oldest daughter yesterday about just the future of jujitsu, right? So I feel like the resilience portion about it, like the resilience, like all the dynamics of teaching your kids, difficulties and trials, right? And like
Right.
pursuing different things. And so the reason I bring this up is because we talked about how in some jujitsu communities, right, you have like three kind of buckets, right? You have like the kids that are just there because they want to have fun, right? They just want to have the social part of jujitsu. You have the middle part where like they're either like elite competitors, right, where they have to really
Hmm.
train hard, like they're gonna have some, hiccups along the way. And then you have this other bucket of where it's like now they're at the stage where they're able to teach others, right? Like
Hmm.
I think I'd like to say that all of my kids are really good teachers for jujitsu. Like they're always like, for example, sometimes obviously being the academy kid, like the academy owners' kids are like, oh, hey, help that kid do an armbar, right? So it's
Yeah.
like they had to learn this whole type of resilience of like, hey, this kid isn't learning well, like I can't reach him. I think
Hmm.
jujitsu has taught me so much about not giving up on people, right?
Yeah.
Because you have them come in and they have this type of, either the growth mindset or the fixed mindset, right? And that's something that's so important in like childhood, teenage
Right.
years, adulthood, where you have even adults come in, you're like, oh, I can't do this, I'm giving up. And you're like, bro, like it's been 5 minutes, it's been like 10, 15 minutes. And so I think
Right.
that resilience part is so important because like a 2-year-old has taught me so much things about
Right.
teaching, right? I started a 2-year-old program for jujitsu, like two, three
Wow.
years ago. So yeah, my daughter is almost 5. And it was so hilarious because the first 2-year-old that ever signed up for a class, like girl, this kid was doing break falls, takedowns, like sprawls. And I was like, what the heck? And it's because his mom was like, yeah, he's been doing like gymboree and like gymnastics and swimming.
Mm.
And it just gave me like this huge motivation. Like, man, this 2-year-old would just inspire so many people. And I didn't videotape the whole thing, which I wish I did now,
Yeah.
but it was rad. I think it's just, I think, think bad things can happen in our lives where it just really hurts that resilience part and that motivational factor that people
Right.
naturally have, I feel, right? And I think it's just good to be around people and other moms that can teach you, like, hey, this is like, you're in the thick of it. The only way you can go is up, right? And
Right.
so that's a big thing for me for
Well,
raising my kids and raising students as well.
that's really inspiring because at least especially as a mother that's founded a gym, and then you're in the woods of teaching and structuring programs and dealing with so many different types of clients and from 2 years old to adulthood. And you're right, it does teach you a lot about working with people, and I think that's beautiful. What inspired you to start a BJJ gym, and what's been the most rewarding part about building it?
It's really funny because it actually did not. So it's really, and I look back because I went to college, right? I mentioned for business. And my goal was to open up a Christian coffee shop. Like that was my hopes
Oh.
and dreams, right? And so when I met my kid's dad, he his dream was to open a jujitsu school. And I was like, okay, and I at first I was like, I don't know if that's really something I want to do, but he had the vision, I had the admin and like the operations
Mm,
type of part that is needed, right? Because you also see so many people that open a gym, they're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And
mm,
like in hindsight, I'm just like, honestly, like I'm not as good with that stuff either. Like the more that I grew as an academy owner, I'm like, you know what, I am more of just like the operations part, right? I don't like the paperwork, I don't like all this other things that you have to think about. And so yeah, so his mom owned an English tea room, and I learned the hard way of like, no, I don't want to own a coffee shop. It was wild, and I think it was
mm,
really cool because it definitely gave me that experience of, this is what it's like to be a restaurant owner. And I
mm.
did like her operations management, her marketing, it was the back of the house, the front of the house, we like cooked, we cleaned. And I was like, no, I don't think this is what I want to do. And so
Right.
we opened the gym 2 doors down from her tea room, which was amazing because we actually, at one point, we were working both businesses. And yeah, so short story, we were, in the thick of it. And it was great because I really learned about the love of teaching jujitsu through him and seeing, yeah, that legacy that I was like, man, this is amazing. Right. And so for those that do know Stronghold, most people that know the name, they're like, man, I feel we've been around for long enough where we've done a lot of tournaments, right? We had our ups and downs of like high level competitors, and sometimes we're at Grappling X. I think one time we went there and brought like 96 students, right? And this was maybe 10,
Wow.
15 years ago, which was, in hindsight, like when you look back, like that was a lot. And then now when you fast forward to 2025, it's like 100 kids from one academy is nothing, right?
Wow.
And so I see like some of my friends that are academy owners, and they're like, oh, Raquel, like how many people do you have today? I'm like, two. And I look back and I'm like, it's just such a great like weight off your shoulders, right? Because when you manage those many competitors at a tournament, you're just like, you've seen it, right? You're literally like
Yeah.
running around with your heads cut
Running around the
off.
mats at the
Yeah, and
time
like
and
it's cool. I think it's great to be able to say that I've done all of the above. Like we've had a small academy, we've had a big academy, we've done IBJJF, we have people that have done, the smaller tournaments. Tap Cancer Out is coming up soon. That
Mhm.
was probably one of my favorite accomplishments, was
Mm.
spearheading our team for that. And that was with, multiple students across San Diego. And we were back to back team fundraising champions for 4 years. The fifth
Wow.
year, yeah, the fifth year, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be like, man, I want to recount because I think people were kind of tired that we were winning every year. And
Oh.
but when you come to like the nonprofit side, like I mentioned earlier, like that was such a great thing for me, right? Because Tap Cancer Out was such a
Mhm.
great tournament, and everyone comes not because they want to like win gold, right? They're really just there to fight for someone that they love, that either,
Wow. Yeah.
dealing with cancer, unfortunately passed away. The first time I ever finally competed, I had like 10 names on my gi that I'm like, these are people that passed, these are people that
Mhm.
are dealing with it now. So I think that was probably like my favorite thing, that people knew, that was what
Right.
it was, more than just jujitsu, right? And
Yeah,
we were
that's
there
beautiful.
to serve the community in that way.
Moving on to the next question, what challenges do you face as a woman who has led a business, whether it's, business in martial arts or whatever other entrepreneurial things you've done, what challenges have you faced? It doesn't have to be too personal, but you can get into however personal you want. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the nitty gritty about it is also the finances, right? Because at
mm,
one point I was able to bring my kids to work, working the academy all day, and it was never an issue of like, okay, I have to go to work and not see my kids. I think that's my for me, that's the biggest challenge that now I do have some like things here and there, like work related, where I am away from my kids for, you know, 40 hours a week sometimes. And those times I'm just like, man, I've lived both lives
yeah,
where I
yeah,
just want to be home, right? Like I feel like if you do like go down that rabbit hole of Instagram where like I'm in my sourdough era, right? I'm just like, I want to be home and make sourdough and cook with my kids because that's what I did, right? It's like it's one of those
yeah,
things where getting back into the workforce full time is like, it's just not a
I
good
know.
feeling for me. And
Yeah.
so some of my jobs still great because I can bring my kids along, like farmers market.
Hmm.
I run the farmers market, or I help do marketing PR for the Point Loma farmers market, and also they also have the PQ farmers market, so I can bring my kids anytime I want. Those are great opportunities for me to bring them along, and I always
Hmm.
love saying like it's every day is bring your kid to work day, right?
Yeah.
And so, but there's some different gigs that I'm like, okay, I'm going to be away from you for 5, 6, 10 hours, which is not a fun feeling for me because I'd rather be home with my kids and work, and I
Right.
know that I can do that. And so I think that's been the biggest challenge for me is being able to be like, hey, it's fine, it's a good break, I can rest, which I feel is a good thing for moms too, is that you do need that time away to kind of recover and refresh because
Yeah.
um like yeah, my kids are I have 3 teenagers now, right? And then one that's like a tween and one that's legit getting out of toddlerhood. And
Yeah.
so you do need those times away. But yeah, I think because I did it for so long, it was just one of those things where like, man, I'd rather be home,
Yeah.
be home working alongside them.
Right. I agree. Yeah, as I was getting out of active duty military, I got pregnant on my last year of my contract. And so, that question was posed to me, like, do you want to re-enlist or not? And, like what would seem as the responsible answer would be, yeah, re-enlist because that's a secure job and benefits, all those things. Um, for like myself, but I have my husband's such a great provider, but it's just like there was that pressure initially, but I just couldn't bear the thought of being away from my infant. And with just the military in general, like yes, they put the family first in certain aspects, but they won't put the family first if mission comes first. And if the mission comes first, if something pops off on one side of the world, it's like, okay, y'all gotta like get your, what is it, gird your loins and find care for your children because you're getting deployed. So
Right.
I didn't want to be in that situation. And like I'm really grateful for my husband providing now, but even like the at being at home now, there's a lot of pressure to go back to work, and especially in the economy and everything, it's just there's so much of pressure like from
For
both
sure.
sides. I feel that. And yeah, like the bread making era, like I texted you yesterday, I made my
Oh
first
yeah, that's
loaf
right.
of it was yeasty bread. It wasn't sourdough. But like it was a lot. It was a long process
That's
because
so, I know, I remember you said that. I'm like, I was like so happy for you because at least you did it, right? Like you did the thing.
right, yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm in that era right now, so and like I get the ache for that too, and just to want to be at home, and I hope that you can find more of opportunity for that and just be able to find that balance or blend, however you want to look at it,
for sure.
because it does, yeah, it does. There's an ache when you do have to leave them for several hours,
Yeah,
and then you know that they're missing you, and you know that they want to see you and not be with, other people, whoever, right? Whatever care situation it is.
right.
And yeah, there's that mom guilt too, which is unfortunate, but it's there, and
Totally.
yeah, and like you have three teenagers as well, so I think that just shows how much you've overcome at this point too, and now you still have a toddler, a little one coming out of toddlerhood, so
Yeah,
that's amazing, honestly. I
for
think,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you for your service too, because one of my girls is a Marine baby too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's always
Oh,
fun.
oh, you're one of your kids?
The baby is a
Oh,
yeah, I think we
yeah.
talked about
Oh,
this a little bit. Yeah.
I think we
So
did. Yes.
yeah. So
Sorry.
she, I know it's funny because she has been to
Oh,
MCRD way more than I think the average child or the average kid has, and it's
yeah.
fun, like it's such a
Oh,
different world. It's such a different world because
it
I
is.
was raised Navy, right? So the Navy Marine dynamic, I'm just like, oh, I get it.
Right.
This is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Oh, um, what uh, what leadership values have you instilled with just all your experience? Like I guess what are your most important leadership values with with your coaches or even you as a coach or staff or students? What's most important to you?
I think the definitely the bottom line is, just being like for example, for my professor, right? My professor is Roy Harris. It's one of those things where I can always count on him for advice, whether it's personal, business, jujitsu, right? I think that's a huge thing for me that, when you have a student or, any kid that I meet, any person that I meet, I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna be here for you in any capacity that I can that goes above and beyond, right? And
Mm,
I think that's so important in the jiu-jitsu world too, because I hate to say it, like this is just like a fact, right? There's so many individuals in the community that are, they're great at what they do, but they're not great in life, right?
mm,
Like a black
yeah,
belt, like I hate to say it, someone even mentioned like, oh, that guy has a jiu-jitsu black belt, but like the
yeah,
worst moral compass on the planet, and you've seen it,
yeah.
right? You've
Mm-hmm.
seen some of these questionable things. I'm just like, are you serious right now? And one
Yep.
thing that people used to like always tell me when I first started my business was that, hey, Raquel, you can't mix business and personal. I was like, I highly disagree with that. I really do because it's gonna get in your community, your philosophy, the way you lead, right? So it's really hard for me to respect a leader that, doesn't put their family first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Puts money first. Like, oh, my clients are more important than this. And again, I'm going to just say off the bat, like I've had those times where I did that too, where my kids would call me out and be like, your students are more important. I'm like, and maybe it never meant to be that way, right? But let's say, for example, I had a kid that was on like special needs, right? Special needs. And one kid and I was teaching class maybe, right? And a kid comes on the side of the mat because they know they're welcome. They're like, Mom, I need this. And then I'm like, hey, I'm teaching a class right now, right? And then this kid is, going over the top because he's having a meltdown, right? So
Yeah.
to my kids, they're seeing, oh, I'm not as important as this kid, right? Where that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely not my, not where my heart is. It's just like, hey, at this moment in time, this kid's mom is not anywhere in the building. I have to deal with this one. I know you have needs as well. But then I think one time I said, go ask your brother, right? Like ask your sister. I think they wanted a snack or something. It was something like
Yeah.
definitely not humongous, right? But teaching them those skills as well is like, hey, there's times to triage like the needs of people that are in your community and then your family, right? And
Right.
like another good example is that we're doing like the angel tree this year, right?
Okay.
And I always tell my kids, I'm like, man, I just really want you to understand that like some of these kids will never have a Christmas like you,
Mm,
right? And they'll never know like if they're gonna get things or not. And we've had that too, right? Like as a business, I've always also learned the term like feast or famine, right? Like one year they got like maybe like socks, like I don't know,
yeah.
something like nothing like too crazy. Like they still got things, right? Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like the thing that they really wanted. One year they got two dogs, right? They got two puppies for Christmas, right?
Oh,
And so I think as a business owner, people need to understand, like even your kids need to understand, like it's going to be one year is going to be amazing, one might not be great, and same thing with other families too. Like I hate to hear when parents lose their job and stuff like that. It's
yeah.
definitely not going to be the Christmas that they they want to give their children, but it's just a, a harsh reality that that's just going to be
Yeah.
how it is sometimes, right? And so as a leader, it's one of those things that, we step up to accommodate those gaps in life, and teaching them that they're able to do those things even if they are young, right? So
Yeah, definitely. No, that's awesome. I think that has a lot to do with faith. We can go into that next. That is the
yeah,
next topic actually. But like yeah, like trusting and having faith in God, especially in my podcast in general. I used to just kind of do more secular talk, but now I've decided to bridge more into faith talk in my interviews and in what I talk about because that's who I am. And
right.
so that's what I love about you, especially, is that you're not um you're not ashamed of your faith. You always talk about it. And I think that's awesome because we need more of that witness, you know.
Thank you.
Even in the jiu-jitsu community, I feel like, and it's not like people have to have a faith or anything like that when they do jiu-jitsu,
Right.
but like for me, I just realized I need to be more transparent about that because sometimes the answer isn't jiu-jitsu. Sometimes it is about seeing if God, like what God is doing in your life and if God is calling you to do certain things or like I broke my ankle in when I was preparing for my first tournament ever back in 2011. And I felt like God taught me so much through that and the sacrifice of jujitsu versus like um, being impatient and wanting to recover fast. And going back to jujitsu, I felt like God taught me, no, I'm going to slow you down and I'm going to teach you some things about yourself during this injury and where I stand in your life compared to jujitsu. So going into faith, how does your faith guide your role as a business owner, as a jujitsu athlete, as a community leader?
Yeah, everything. And
Right.
like the one of the first books I actually read in college, I think, was like Jesus is my CEO or something similar to
Ooh.
that title. I don't want to, like, don't quote me on that one. But similar, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
asking like how would Jesus be a leader in this situation? How would he handle this type of topic? And so yeah, in general, like for example, any kid, any adult, any student that comes through the door when in a jiu-jitsu situation, like that is, you are now my new friend, right? You are, no matter if you don't like me at one point and all these things, like I'm always gonna love you as a person, off the mat, on the mat. And I talk about this a lot. Like I feel that a lot of people in the jiu-jitsu community, like they burn bridges, right? Like, oh, I don't like that guy. I don't like
Hmm.
that
Right.
instructor, that coach. And I mean, I've had my moments where I'm like, okay, I am having this issue with this person, right? But doesn't mean that I'm going to close the door all the way, right? Because God tells us to forgive, and there are
Right.
some people that I'm like, I have to forgive them daily. And
Right.
even my kids
Well,
like see this. Yeah, like I'll say something about someone, and they're like, they'll call me out on it. I'm like, okay, but God says to forgive them 70 times seven. So I'm gonna apologize and then restart. And so yeah,
yeah.
that's like one instance. And actually I'm dealing with a situation this year, right? Where there's been so many times in the community that I have been burned, right? And I just want to like
Mhm.
do all these things, and I have to just wait on God, be like, hey, you know what, this is your situation. I'm gonna do my best to take it
Right.
as it is. But it really is, like, lack of a better word, it sucks so bad, right? People that you trust, Christians
Yeah.
that you trust in the jiu-jitsu world, right? Just in general, right? Not even just jiu-jitsu, but at the heart of it, yeah, you talk about injuries. I feel like in the past 20 years I've dealt with yeah, broken a broken tailbone, I broke my arm, and I don't break too many things either, right?
Same
And
here.
yeah, it's weird. And then
So you know
I
it's God when he does that. When you get injured, you're
exactly,
like,
you
no,
need
like
it.
what did I do, God?
Yes. And then like a year and a half, like I went through something called topical steroid withdrawal, which was
Yeah.
like I had just had eczema from head to toe for a year and a half. And so I couldn't do
Wow.
anything. Yeah, that's a whole another subject. And then I had alopecia, right? So the
Yeah.
alopecia was, it gave me such a a hindrance of like, oh, I can't train anymore, right? Like this is shameful, it's scary. And I think it just was one of those things where I'm like, man, like all these things that have been put in my life have been a way for me to tell people like, hey, you know, God has a plan for all these things, like the trials, right? Like the um financial things with the gym, like things were not always the greatest, right? Like owning a gym is not always fun. And being able to just say, hey God, I trust you with this. This is your gym, it's not mine. Stronghold actually did come from like Psalm 18 too. And so
Mhm.
when I
Wow.
forget like, okay, where's the money gonna come from? Where are we gonna do this, like all these different things that happen in our academy. I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? I'm a steward, right? I need to be a steward of this gift that God has given me. And in some shape and form, he has taken things away here and there.
Right.
And it's also a good sign that like I did make the academy an idol for a while, which was like, this is like where my identity is, right? Like I'm a
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu co-founder, I'm an instructor, I got to do all these things, I can't let people down. And he's like whittled things here and there where like that's not who your identity is, right? Like I can, and he's actually taught me a lot this year. I'm like, I can put you wherever and make you thrive, right? It doesn't have
Mhm.
to be a place or the people, right? The people will come and go.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of like a little bit where I feel like my faith has set me apart of where, you know what, most people would just give up and be like, you know what, I'm done. But God always tells me that always a plan for this type of
Right.
thing. So
Yeah. There's a phrase that I was just saying a lot this past couple of weeks, the let go and let God phrase. And yeah, I think that's definitely something that it sounds like, just everything you're touching on of, especially like with regards to working with people, because we do want to be a steward and we do want to like um, you know, be Christ to others and fellowship, community, all those things. But then sometimes I feel like there's this distinction of, okay, like you can prioritize that as a value of serving people, but like you said, when it becomes an idol where it's attached to your identity, and then you're like your relationship with Jesus is impacted and he's not the priority, and understanding where he's at in your life, I think it's actually kind of hard to sometimes see in the moment, but like you said, just being able to identify that, I think that's actually such a great um, faith skill to have, is to let go when you feel like you're idolizing something, especially something as I guess really impressive to like a jiu-jitsu community, which is owning a gym, running a gym and everything, and having all these students, and then like somehow letting go aspects of that and giving it to God. So I think that's really beautiful.
thank you.
What Bible verse, well, you Psalm 18, 118, but what other Bible verses um do you lean on when you face challenges? What are some of your favorites?
So my favorite, or one of my, I know that's hard, like there's so many favorites, but this one, I actually got this last year. Is it backwards right
Ooh.
now?
No,
Yeah,
no, I could,
here. It's
yeah,
perfect. Okay.
Proverbs 3, 5, 6. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually I got this one. When did I get this? Like all the tattoos on my body are all scripture, which is funny. So I have
That's
Psalm 18:2
beautiful.
on my back. This is the first verse I learned as a 6-year-old. And so
Oh.
when I have certain trials, I'm like, I need to get a tattoo because it kind of reminds me when I'm walking around. But this one is trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your
Mm,
ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. So that one for sure I feel is like a really good, like in any season, right? You're just like, I just, I don't know what to do. I'm worried. I'm anxious. There's all these things going on. And
yeah.
the trust part has been such a hard thing for me this year, especially. And yeah, I mentioned
Wow.
6, right? So I've been a Christian for 35 years and I still meet people where I'm just like, like I don't get it, right?
Yeah.
You just really ask the Lord. I'm like, I am really trying, to do what you want me to do and the patience, right? So For example, this year alone, there's all these things going on where I'm literally just waiting and I'm like, I feel like I've did all the right things and it still hasn't turned out how I feel like it
Yeah,
should turn out right. And leading
right.
into that one is Romans 8:28, right? It's,
I
for
love that
all
one.
things. Yeah, that one's amazing. And that is part of the let go, let God, right? It's just I'm such a I've done this on and off. It's like, oh, okay, well, I have my idea of what, like, God, this would be an amazing blessing if you did it this way, right? And he's like, no, like, you see those memes of like, actually one just popped up on Instagram and I shared it. It was where I think it was The Chosen, and it shows like, this is my plan. I think it was Peter or something, right? And then he threw like Jesus like took it and like threw it in the ocean in the river,
Yeah.
and he's like, cool, and you're like,
Back.
well, fine. And this last one is First Peter 3. I don't know if you can see that
Yes.
one. This one I got mostly to deal with like marriage. It's a really fun one to look up. But the more that I went to look and see the other parts of it, because it's like the whole chapter, right?
Yeah.
It just a lot of it's like about trials, about just being a better Christian in general. Because
Mhm.
the one thing I do hate that I know hate's a strong word, but the more that I get older and in my faith, it's as if like when people know that you're a Christian, it's like it's a pass for them to do whatever they want, right? And so
Yeah.
that grace and forgiveness is, yes, we're supposed to have that like overflowing, but it's almost as if like the more that people know and the more they want to test you and be like, well, you're a
Yeah.
Christian, you can't act that way. I'm like, I have like this amount right now allotted for my
Right.
children, right? I don't have time for like I don't want to have to waste that on, and waste is also not a great word, but I feel that
I
God
get
also
it.
gives those people to you, right? To
Yeah.
learn more grace and have more
Like a
patience.
cross.
Yeah, like take up your cross. And
Yeah.
this is, and I hate to, again, like I don't want to keep saying hate, but it's one of those things where you get like heart checked, right? It's like, how do you not know that this difficult person in your life is someone you're going to lead to God?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's a
Right.
good reminder of
No.
humility and like, hey, this is your life goal, is to just show this kid or adult Jesus, and it's not going to be fun, but here you go. Yeah. So
It's so interesting where that's really, I feel like that's really where relationships and people where they stand in like regards in your life and how they help you better your faith and you better their faith and or you lead them to the faith is um understanding how to be Jesus to them and how either if they're being Jesus to you or if they're being a cross to you. And
right.
I've definitely experienced that too. And sometimes it's really heartbreaking because it's like you are trying to be the best Christian, you're trying to be Jesus to someone, and they kind of treat you like what Jesus went through, through his suffering and through his crucifixion, and you feel like you're like more so on the walk of carrying the cross and versus um, you know, uh you just learning a simple Christian lesson. It's like, wow, this is intense. This is hard. This isn't just some walk in the park. This feels like I'm actually walking with Jesus, carrying the cross with him. And um, sometimes I feel like that's the hardest part about faith is accepting that cross for sure, especially with people. I tend to be codependent. Like I've had codependency issues and people pleasing issues. I've learned over time like that I've been really attached to opinions of others.
Right.
And so or just like wanting to look like a Christian in front of others and them making me seem like I'm not as Christian. And then you're like, well, I am. Like, I'm really humble and I'm really like, like I'm like Jesus. And then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
For sure. It's funny how you meant, because I think that's probably why we're also good friends, because I had the same exact issue. It was codependency. People like
yeah.
I can remember there's so many times where I'm just like, or I'm still that way, right? I want the bridge to be built, right? I
Mhm.
never want it to burn. And that's the hardest part about it too. It's like some
Yeah.
bridges are going to be burned for a really long time. and you're
Yeah.
just gonna be like, hey, not to say that I never ever want to cut anyone off. I hate that feeling, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know God doesn't want us to be that way either. And so, but I've also learned that he does remove people for a
Hmm.
season, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, I have to,
Let go.
trust God. Yeah, exactly. Let go, trust
Let
God's
go.
plan that if it does come back, like it will be better than before, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's true. I guess to like wrap things up, if you look back at your journey as a mother, a Christian, what you advocate for and in business, etc. What are you most proud of?
Oh, that's a hard one. So I
Oh,
think, yeah, I think like you mentioned, I really do like I'm very, very humbled and very I'm gonna cry about this. I'm very grateful that I'm able to share on social media like my faith and my motherhood, my struggles and like my gym. I've never been that type of person to like, some people say, oh, their social media is a highlight reel, right? And if you really dig on my Facebook and my Instagram and my blog posts that are all public, right? Pretty much an open book, right? And I don't regret that at all. And I think it's because, some people will be like, Raquel, you overshare. I'm like, no, because I feel that when I didn't share, that's when I like hid a lot of my fears and my pain, right? And felt so alone.
mm,
Whereas when I started sharing these things, like, everyone says like, oh, their highlight is like sunshine and rainbows. I'm like, no, please dig. Like check that picture and read the caption and you'll
mm,
see how much pain was in that post for me. And it wasn't because I wanted to get pity from people, right? It was literally just like, I want to share my heart. This is what I went through. If you are going through something, reach out to someone, get prayer, and know that I'll be here for you. And if I don't like, no joke, I have like 1,000 unread text messages right now, and it's bad. Like my emails are really bad, but I always tell people like, know that if I don't connect with you, I really am still thinking of you. And the reason I mentioned this because the things that I've shared, people will come out of the woodwork and like, Raquel, I can't believe you went through this. Like I'm dealing with this too. And they would have never shared it, right? Otherwise, unless someone else said something. And um, sad to say, I'm going through some healing that has been, it's like 10 years in the making right now, like 10 years
mhm,
of something. And you could probably even see, if you read my stuff, you can kind of see what it is. And sometimes I'll share things here and there like, oh, but it obviously deals with someone that I loved and trusted, and that bridge that has been burned. I'm just like, God, like, when is this going to be repaired? Right. In
mhm,
any shape or form. I'd just love for it to be their friend, so to speak. And the healing and the betrayal behind it is something I still haven't. I'm like, God, why is this taking so long? Right. And
mhm, yeah,
so I think looking back though, when I share these things and people come up and personal, private DMs, it's one of those things I'm like, no, like we are made for community, right? We are made to share our story and touch people with our stories, heal each other that way. And so that's probably the one thing that I'm proud of, because I remember there was a Facebook post that I used to write a lot of blog posts and I would not press post. Like I'd be like,
mm,
oh, I'm too scared to write this. What if people judge me? What if people like, oh, Raquel, you're being like attention seeking? I'm like, no, no. It's like I really want to help somebody. It might help me just writing it out in the world, right? And I think that's what
right,
I am most proud of, that it took the bravery. Like, I mean, and you mentioned like you wanted to ask questions about like alopecia. That was a big one for me.
yeah,
Was I was so embarrassed, like, oh, like what will people think of you if you're bald, right? And all these things. And that like October, I legit like I have one of the brands I got to partner with. They're making me a wig, and you can see the videos. I'm like literally full bald and talking about like my journey, and I would have never been able to do that 10 years ago, because I'd be like, oh, people are going to be like, oh, she's bald. And I'm like, whatever, bro. Like, God gave me this fun platform for a little bit, for a season. I'm going to run with it and show the world that your confidence is not in your looks and all these things. And my kids, my kids, I've done a photo shoot with my girls, and they have wonderful, beautiful heads of hair, but I tell them they're beautiful every day, regardless of what they look like, right? It's the heart that's behind. And where if God is in your heart, they can see that shine through. So
That's beautiful.
thank you.
I don't know. Yeah, I did. I don't know if I shared with you, but like back in 2021, I was diagnosed with alopecia
Oh
as
wow,
well.
no, you didn't.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why also what caught my eye with you is when you started sharing that journey, I was like, oh, like I should share my journey. At least like I shared like a post, I think, just like a picture of me having a bald patch here.
Wow, yeah.
And it did, it's kind of like I think at the time when I was active duty, my flight surgeon said it's like stress-induced
Mhm.
alopecia.
Yep, yeah.
And yeah, I just woke up one day and I had a bald spot right here. And I was like, what happened to
Wow.
my hair? And
Total. And did you, so you posted a picture of that on your gram?
yeah, I did. It's somewhere like back in 2021 or
Wow.
yeah,
And
and
it's, yeah, that's cool. It's wild though, because like when you say that, like I actually have never posted myself with that. I still feel a little bit scared of. Like I think I've deleted all my photos of like the
oh,
patches, but full
yeah.
bald, I'm like, cool.
You're like, let's like it's either zero it's 0 to 100 with the lose the hair loss for sure.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing though, because yeah, that takes a lot of bravery to just be like, hey, like,
Well, I think you're brave with just
oh,
showing vulnerably. Like, I think that's especially as women, it's like we're so identified with our beauty, with our hair.
right.
And to show you with no hair, I mean, that's such incredible strength and courage, and even
Thank
just
you.
complete detachment from worldly desire or worldly acceptance, and just, like you said, giving it all to God, and just showing Jesus, like, this is the cross I'm picking up, and it looks humiliating. It might look bad to some people,
Right.
but that's where Jesus, I feel like that's where Jesus really embraced, like, not that he wouldn't embrace us any other way, but when we fully let go and just in that vulnerable state, and where he just embraces us in his loving arms, I really feel like. Um, but it's so with alopecia, actually, I know I wanted like we do have like I'm just
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to stick within the time frame.
Totally, totally.
But actually, since we're talking about it, just to also touch on that, how do you hope your alopecia, especially with alopecia advocacy, like how do you hope that impacts others who are silently struggling with the hair loss, with their identity, and things like that?
Yeah, and that's such a hard thing. So it's funny because I've been trying to get connected with a support group. There's a San Diego alopecia support group.
Okay.
And I think I first emailed them like 13 years ago. It's been a while. And I've
Wow.
never attended. Like I've never had a chance to like attend. But
Yeah.
I'm at this I'm at this point where I'm like, so the brand that I'm partnering with is Fidenza Hair Company, and they're making me a full it's like a molded like virgin hair, like all like it's supposed to look exactly like how I would look like with full hair, right? And
Oh,
the goal is that to make a community there as well. Is it's
yes.
so crazy because you just never know who's dealing with it because it's such a crippling crippling struggle. Like no one knows, like you won't even know unless you said something. And so and funny enough, like one of my closest friends, like her sister actually had it forever and I never knew until I posted it. And I was like, I've known this person forever, like for decades, and I never knew that they had it. And so I think that's the one thing is having all these different alopecia advocates of like, hey, it is hair and it does suck, right? It's such um a feeling of like, oh, am I beautiful? Am I not? I look in the mirror and I just see like these patches. It's more of that, yeah, exactly. Like seeing how Jesus sees you, right? Like you are
Mm,
beautiful in God's image because God created you. It doesn't matter what you look like, right? And again, every like there's a very fine line with that as well. Because I mean, like with hair, this is a wig as well. And things like this make me feel like me, right? And I have had seasons where like I would just I've never walked around fully bald, but I'd walked around with like a ball cap and you can see it like behind. And that was during I think we had like a heat wave like 2 years ago. I was like, you know what? Screw it.
yeah.
Yeah. And then when I meet other women, so that's the cool thing about it too, is that I never have ever felt like being able to come up to someone that is fully bald, because some of these women are like, you can just see the glow, right? So
Yeah.
it could be either like cancer or alopecia. You just don't know.
Yeah.
But this one gal I ran into a wedding and I was just dying to ask her because she just had this joy and light and she was fully bald. She had these amazing, beautiful earrings and a wonderful gown. And I'm like, I want to ask her, and I didn't. But I
Yeah.
think being able to yeah, like have more people come up and share that confidence with others will give others courage. Like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna reach out and figure out ways to, um, heal with the mental, right? And the physical part, I feel one of the things that I feel that was really hard was because I was felt so crippled. I didn't want to ask people about advice for wigs. If that makes sense. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a post in my Instagram where I'm like, I'm so happy that I finally was able to like reach out to other brands, like, hey, it's what I'm doing. And I went to it was called Hair Unlimited in Mission Valley. And I would
Mm-hmm.
never have helped. That's actually where I got this one. I would have never had the confidence of just taking off my wig and being bald in a salon setting. And that's like a big thing too. It's you're like, oh, cool,
Right.
like all these wigs I can try on. And I think when people decide that, like, hey, I'm just going to take a leap of faith and see how it goes, it just
Mm-hmm.
makes, like, for me, I'm obviously more confident with hair, right? I can go out without it. And it's more of like the people pleasing part, right? I don't want to go out and like scare a kid. That's one thing. But like, because actually, one of the kids, they're so cute. Like, my students, a lot of them do know that I'm bald. And one little boy, he's what, like, Coach Raquel, I know you're bald. I'm like, I know, right? And it was like cute. And one kid, I remember I was teaching toddler class. One kid was like, when you're like, you choke someone, right? And she somehow like pulled my wig off, and I was like, oh my goodness, what happened? And so I put it back on, but she was scared. And that was like one of the
Oh my
reason why I
God.
do wear my wigs, because I don't want to ever like, some kids aren't ready for that. And
Yeah.
I think that's my main jam, is just like, teaching them like, oh no, it's okay. Like, I'm not sick. Like,
Oh, or
yeah,
like she probably thought like I just pulled your hair off
totally,
and
totally. Yeah, yeah,
oh, that well, that's like yeah, that like just to think about those dynamics in those situations is
totally.
yeah. Oh man. Um, well, I guess to wrap it up, how can someone or how can people reach out to you? Like if you want to share some of your deets, your info, and what other last message do you want to share to women in general or the women in jiu-jitsu, just whatever message you want to share.
Yeah. So I guess like if you want to stay connected, I have my website, which is strongholdmom.com. I'm most active on Instagram, which is instagram.com/strongholdmom. But I love meeting new people. That's like such a great thing for me. And I did have like a funny jujitsu hiatus this year, that I was in this moment where like I'm not sure if I want to train, I don't know if I want to teach, but I'm slowly getting back to certain things with that. And like I want to be able to again stay connected with my community, because Tap Cancer Out and Grappling X are two of those tournaments that it's like a family reunion, right? You go and everyone that knows everyone will be at these tournaments, and it's a good a way to
Right,
reconnect. But yeah, I think I'd say if you ever have any questions about running a business, being an academy founder, being a mom, I'm trying to think what else is there that we talked about. Alopecia is a big one. Like,
right,
I
yeah.
really think that the advocacy for that is really a fun thing for me, because I even like earlier this year I was thinking, I'm like, I want to do like public speaking, right? And
Oh, yes.
I didn't know what topic I wanted to do, because I was like, hey, I'm an okay business owner. I'm like, I feel like I'm the person that just has a million ideas. I'm like, let's do this, right? But I've learn to grasp, like, I have an ADHD brain that loves doing these things. But I think alopecia might be where I'm going to be focusing, more of the
Yeah,
motivation and confidence and healing, physically, mentally, because mine is stress as well, stress induced. And
right, right.
my hair is actually growing back right now too, which is really cool.
Wow.
And it's
Praise
like,
God, yeah.
I know, I was one of my prayers. I'm like, God, I just, I know it's been fun, but I'd like to have my hair grow back a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
2018 is actually the first time I ever, like, if you ever scroll back, is my hair was full, like down to my waist. Everything was amazing. I was going through some things with family, and yeah, mine is stress induced for sure. I can pinpoint every time it fell out, every time it regrew, every time it fell out again, and right now it's still
Yeah.
growing. So I'm like, okay, I now can see the signs of why mine is triggered.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's I love to connect. I love meeting everybody and anyone. I love this platform that you're growing, and I hope it skyrockets. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, it's I just love being able to talk chat with people. So
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I would love to see you talk more in like whatever TED Talk or
yeah,
whatever platform God as far as speaking is concerned. I think I love that for you and I love your name, Stronghold Mom. Like I don't see that. I haven't seen that like there's a lot of like Christian influencers with different names and stuff, so I haven't seen
right.
that one. I think it's a
Yeah,
beautiful name.
thank you.
And I think you can touch on anything, or you can, with all your experience, with all your background, with just what our Lord has, the journey He's brought you through. I mean, I think you have a huge message. So, I think I'm excited to see where that leads as well, and I'll keep you in my prayers for
Amen.
that. But thank you so much for just getting on here and sharing your story, especially for women of faith. And I know that there's going to be people that will be inspired and who would love to connect with you. So
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity.
thank you so much, Raquel.